Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we are going to be jumping into a topic that I think is super important, and that is onboarding.
Oh, onboarding,
Yeah,
yeah.
onboarding new employees into an organization. I think onboarding is something that honestly a lot of companies just kind of gloss over.
Right.
But we've got some really great research here that shows just how impactful a good onboarding program can be.
It really can be.
So we're going to dive into like all the things about it, what makes a good onboarding program, and why it even matters to you.
Onboarding is super strategic.
Hmm.
I agree.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit first of all. Like, what exactly do we mean by onboarding? I mean, is it more than just like, showing someone where the bathroom is and giving them their employee handbook?
It's so much more than that.
Yeah, so tell me like what are we really talking about here?
Well, I think, one of the things that we found in the research was this idea that there are actually these four key phases to onboarding.
4 phases. Wow.
Yeah, and they each kind of build on each other to create this like really holistic onboarding experience.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me. What are these 4 phases?
All right, so the first phase is pre-boarding, and this is actually what happens before the employee even starts.
Oh, before they even set foot in the office.
Exactly. So this is like sending those welcome emails, setting up their workspace, maybe doing some early introductions with their team,
Yeah.
just kind of getting the ball rolling before day one.
So it's like setting the stage, really.
Yeah, creating that first impression.
I like that. Okay, so pre-boarding phase 1, what's next?
Phase two is orientation. And this is more of that traditional onboarding, getting them acquainted with the company's mission and vision and values, talking about logistics like payroll and policies. But the key here is to make it engaging, not overwhelming.
Because I imagine you can easily just throw a ton of information at someone on their first day and it's just going to go in one ear and out the other.
Information overload. Yeah, nobody wants that.
Exactly. So how do you make orientation engaging?
Well, instead of just death by PowerPoint,
Mm-hmm.
think about incorporating some interactive activities, maybe some group discussions, or even a scavenger hunt around the office, just to get them familiar with the environment.
Oh, I like that. A scavenger hunt. That would be fun.
It's a good way to break the ice.
Okay, that's orientation phase 2. So I've got pre-boarding orientation. What comes next?
Phase three is training. And this is where they really start to get into the nitty-gritty of their role. So it can involve, hands-on experience, job shadowing, online modules, all sorts of things. And it can last, weeks or months, depending on the complexity of the role.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, some roles you're going to need a lot more training than others.
Absolutely.
Okay, so pre-boarding orientation training. We're on a roll. What's the fourth and final phase?
Phase four is integration. And this is all about helping them really become a part of the team and the company culture. So it's about building relationships, understanding team dynamics, making them feel like they belong.
So it's like going beyond just the technical skills and really focusing on the human element.
You got it.
I like that. Okay, so we've got our 4 phases: pre-boarding, orientation, training, and integration. Now, I'm curious, like, how does each of these phases actually contribute to a successful onboarding experience? Like, what's the big picture here?
Well, I think each phase plays a really important role. Pre-boarding sets the tone and builds excitement. Orientation provides that foundational knowledge training, equips them with the skills they need, and integration helps them feel connected and supported.
So it's like building a house. You need a solid foundation, strong walls, and a good roof to make it all come together.
I love that analogy.
So we've got the framework now. Let's talk about some pro tips for making onboarding truly effective. Like, what are some things that companies can do to really knock it out of the park?
Okay, so I'm ready for these pro tips.
All right, tip number 1, and this is a big one: start before day 1.
Yeah, pre-boarding is crucial.
I mean, don't wait till they walk in the door to start making them feel welcome. Like, send them a personalized welcome email, maybe put together a little onboarding kit, even just a simple video call from their manager saying hi and welcome to the team can go a long way.
All great ideas.
Okay, tip number 2, assign a buddy or a mentor,
That's a great one.
someone who can guide them through the process, answer their questions, and be a friendly face. Just make the whole experience more personal.
Definitely having that go-to person can make all the difference.
Okay, tip number 3, and this one might seem obvious, but it's often overlooked: utilize technology.
Technology, of course.
I mean, there are so many great onboarding platforms out there that can streamline the process, automate tasks, provide a central hub for all the information and resources.
Absolutely, can make things so much more efficient.
Okay, and finally, tip number 4, gather feedback.
Always good to get feedback.
Yeah, don't just assume that your onboarding program is perfect. Ask your new hires what's working, what's not, how you can improve.
You got to be willing to constantly iterate and improve.
So it's a continuous improvement process.
It is.
These tips are great, but I think we need a real-world example to really bring it to life.
You're right. An example would be perfect.
So in our research, we found this really cool case study about this company. Let's call them Company X.
Okay, Company X.
So Company X revamped their entire onboarding process, and they turned it into this 90-day program with weekly check-ins, team lunches, and even like a new hire graduation celebration at the end.
Wow, that sounds pretty elaborate.
Yeah, they really went all out, but the results were incredible. They saw like a 40% boost in employee satisfaction, and their first-year turnover rate was cut in half.
That's amazing.
I know, right? It's like proof that even small, thoughtful actions can make a huge difference.
Shows they really care about their employees.
And it's not just about, making people feel good. It's about the bottom line, too. Like happy, engaged employees are productive employees.
You can't argue with that.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but I think we've just scratched the surface of this fascinating topic.
There's always more to explore.
So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more insights and tips on how to create truly exceptional onboarding experiences. So stay tuned. Okay, so we're back, and we've been talking all about onboarding and how important it is to make those new hires feel welcome and set them up for success.
It's crucial.
So let's get into some of the more like nitty-gritty, like those pro tips that can really make a difference.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so, one of the things that kept coming up in the research was this idea of personalization.
Oh, yeah. Personalization is huge.
It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
No, definitely not.
So how do you make onboarding feel personalized, when you've got all these different people coming in with different backgrounds and experiences?
Right. Well, I think one of the keys is to really get to know your new hires even before they start.
Okay, so like in that pre-boarding phase.
Exactly. Ask them about their interests, their learning styles, maybe their past work experiences, and then use that information to tailor their onboarding experience.
I like that.
Like one company we found, they actually use a personality assessment during the pre-boarding phase.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And then they use the results to create like personalized welcome messages and onboarding resources.
So it's like that little extra touch that shows you're paying attention.
Exactly. It makes them feel valued from the start.
Okay, so personalization is key. What else you got?
All right. Tip number 2. This one's all about human connection.
Human connection, always important.
It is. And, especially in today's world where so many people are working remotely, it's easy to feel isolated.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So assigning a buddy or mentor to each new hire can really make a difference.
Yeah, I've heard that's really effective.
It is. It gives them someone they can go to with questions or concerns, someone who can show them the ropes and just generally make them feel more comfortable.
It's like having a friend at work from day one.
Exactly.
I like that. Okay, what's next on our list of pro tips?
All right. Tip number 3. This one might seem obvious, but it's often overlooked. Utilize technology.
Technology, yes, of course.
I mean, there are so many great onboarding platforms out there that can automate tasks, track progress, provide a central hub for all onboarding materials.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of great tech out there.
It can really streamline the whole process and make things so much easier for both the company and the new hire.
So you're not drowning in paperwork and emails.
Exactly.
All right, so we've got personalization, human connection technology. What's our last pro tip?
Last but not least, gather feedback.
Feedback, always important.
Don't just assume your onboarding program is perfect. Ask your new hires what they thought of it, what worked well, what could be improved.
It's like a continuous improvement process.
Exactly. You're always looking for ways to make it better.
Okay, these tips are great, but I think we need a real-world example to really bring it to life.
You're right. Let's hear about a company that's doing it right.
So in our research, we found this really cool case study about this company. We'll call them Company Z.
Okay, Company Z.
So Company Z is a large retail chain with thousands of employees across multiple locations.
Wow, that's a lot of people to onboard.
I know, right? And their old onboarding process was pretty standard. A day of paperwork and presentations followed by some basic on-the-job training.
That's pretty typical.
It was, but they realized it wasn't really working.
How so?
Well, their new hires weren't feeling very engaged or supported, and their turnover rate was pretty high.
So they decided to make a change.
They decided to completely revamp their onboarding process.
What do they do?
Well, they did a bunch of things. They created a gamified onboarding platform that guided new hires through a series of challenges and
Oh,
activities.
that's interesting.
Yeah, and they earned points and badges along the way, which made it more fun and engaging.
So it's like turning onboarding into a game.
Exactly. And they also created a virtual reality simulation that allowed new hires to experience a day in the life of a retail associate.
Wow, a VR simulation. That's pretty high tech.
It is, and it was actually really effective.
How so?
Well, it allowed new hires to practice their skills and build confidence in a safe and controlled environment.
So it's like a flight simulator for retail workers.
Exactly. And the results were amazing.
Tell me more.
Well, after implementing these changes, Company Z saw a significant increase in employee engagement, a decrease in first-year turnover, and a boost in customer satisfaction scores.
That's incredible.
I know it's a great example of how a well-designed onboarding program can really make a difference.
It shows that it's worth investing in.
It is, but it's not just about the company, it's about the new hires too. Like, what can they do to make sure they're getting the most out of the onboarding process?
That's a great point. It's a two-way street.
It is. So, what advice would you give to new hires who are about to go through onboarding?
Well, first and foremost, I would say don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, ask all the questions.
I mean, no matter how basic or even silly you think they might sound, your manager and team would much rather you clarify something than struggle in silence.
That's good advice.
And, asking questions also shows that you're engaged and interested.
It shows you're paying attention.
Exactly.
Okay, so ask questions. What else?
Another important tip is to actively participate in all the onboarding activities,
Even if they seem boring.
even if they seem boring, because you never know what you might learn or who you might meet.
It's all part of the process.
It is. And, it's also important to take notes and ask for clarification if anything is unclear.
Shows you're serious about learning.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask for feedback early and often.
Feedback, oh, that can be scary.
I know, but it's really valuable. It's an opportunity to learn and grow, and it shows your manager that you're committed to doing your best.
So ask questions, participate, actively take notes, seek feedback, anything else.
Last but not least, be yourself.
Be yourself, yes.
Onboarding is not just about conforming to the company culture. It's also about bringing your unique skills, personality, and perspective to the table.
It's about finding that sweet spot between fitting in and standing out.
Exactly. You want to be authentic while also understanding the company's values and how things work.
And when you can do that, that's when the magic happens.
It does.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about onboarding within a company setting, but I'm curious, how can these principles be applied to other areas of life?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Could we use an onboarding mindset to approach other transitions or new experiences?
Absolutely. I think we can.
So, what are some examples?
Well, think about when you move to a new city.
Okay, yeah.
You do a lot of research, you explore the neighborhood, you connect with people. That's essentially onboarding yourself into a new community.
That's true.
Or when you start a new hobby, you might take a class, read books, or join a group to learn the ropes and connect with other enthusiasts that's onboarding too.
Wow, I never thought about it like that, but you're right.
It's all about approaching new experiences with intentionality, curiosity, and a willingness to learn and grow.
So even if you're not starting a new job, you can still use these principles to create your own personal onboarding experience.
Exactly.
That's so cool. I love that.
Me too.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like we've covered so much ground and gained some truly valuable insights into the world of onboarding, both professionally and personally.
I agree. It's been a fascinating conversation.
And to our listener out there, we hope you found this deep dive as insightful and engaging as we have.
We encourage you to keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the topics that spark your curiosity.
Because you never know what amazing insights you might uncover along the way.
Until next time, happy onboarding.
It's kind of wild, right? Like we started talking about how to help new employees and ended up talking about moving to a new city or starting a new hobby.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really shows how these ideas can connect in unexpected ways, I guess.
Definitely. And it makes you think maybe we could all use a little bit of that onboarding mindset in our lives, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, what if we approached every new experience with that same level of intentionality and curiosity?
I like that. Instead of just jumping into something new, maybe we should think about it like we're onboarding ourselves.
Exactly. Like, make a plan, do some research, connect with people who can help you along the way.
It could make those transitions so much smoother.
And more enjoyable, too.
Totally. Okay, so to wrap things up, I think the big takeaway here is that onboarding is more than just a process for new employees.
It's a philosophy, a way of approaching any new experience with a mindset of growth and learning.
And whether you're starting a new job, joining a club, or even just trying a new restaurant,
Embrace the onboarding mindset. Ask questions, seek guidance, and be open to new possibilities.
because you never know what amazing discoveries might be waiting for you on the other side.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time for us to sign off.
This has been another incredible deep dive. Thank you so much to our amazing expert for sharing your insights with us.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you've learned something new, and we can't wait to dive into another fascinating topic with you next time.
Until then, keep exploring and keep learning.
And keep those onboarding principles in mind no matter what new adventures you embark on.
See you next time.